Sorts of Shorts, the podcast that discusses and analyses as many short films as humanly possible. This week, we are talking about the wonderful thing that is Christmas. But before we do that, I am joined with Director of Photography and Producer Matthias Jan. Say hello.
Hey, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. And producer Jamie Mills.
Merry Christmas. Hello. What are we celebrating this week, Benny?
What Christmas?
The wonderful thing that is Christmas.
What did I say?
I don't really know. Just really.
Well, I started going on about Christmas, and I was like, "Shit! Like, I'm not the only one discussing Christmas." By the way,
it really tickled me.
I feel like I played it off quite naturally. They won't know. It was natural. Okay.
Jamie, what are you doing for Christmas this year?
What am I doing for Christmas this year?
Yeah.
What am I doing for Christmas this year? I'll be home at my mum's for Christmas itself, and then I'll be down at my dad's for New Year's. My sister is, at the time of recording, very heavily pregnant, and at the time of release may have a child. Another child.
Oh my goodness, that's so exciting.
But time of release may still have not given birth, so who knows? It's all up in the air.
So you might be an uncle.
Oh, yeah, I'll be a two-time uncle.
He already is an uncle, but
yeah,
a second uncle. No.
Two-time uncle. How about you guys? What are you doing for Christmas?
Bernie?
I'm going home into the north where there's lots of snow. There is no snow here. It was like 7 degrees the other day. I went around a Christmas market and didn't need a coat. Like, what is this weather down in the south?
Is there snow in the north?
Yeah, there's loads where my family is. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm super jealous, and like I'm getting all my Instagram photos from like friends and stuff that are like walking in the snow and having like snowball fights. I'm like, ah. So I will be going to explore the snow and remember what cold is like with my family, which I'm very excited for.
I feel like it's not snowed properly in the south since I was like a young kid. Like, I feel like it doesn't happen that often anymore.
What? Did you guys ever have like snow days?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like that was a primary school. Like in secondary school, it happened a lot less often than it did in primary.
Really?
We had like at least one a year.
Ah. No, I think it was that consistent for us.
What about you, Jamie? Because you grew up in the north, didn't you?
Yeah, we had probably maybe one snow day a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could never really justify not going in because I would lived a 10-minute walk away, and the snow was never that bad. Do you know what I mean? It was one of those ones like, oh, how will I get to school?
I could use my feet, but no.
But then the rest of the year I complained I couldn't get there because my sledge wasn't working. So Matthias, you didn't know, you just be at home for Christmas? You'd be relaxing at home?
Yeah, at home with my parents, yep. It's going to be interesting this Christmas, so it's going to be the first Christmas that like both my sisters aren't going to be coming home for it. So it'll be me and my like younger foster brother plus my parents, which will be like a different dynamic to what our Christmases usually are.
Oh, wow.
That's going to be so weird.
What are your sisters doing?
Yeah. So my older sister's moved to Swansea. Like, she went uni there and now she's moved there properly, and she's going to be working because she's a doctor, so just can't like come home for Christmas this year. Mm-hmm. And then my younger sister's going to be with her boyfriend and their family, still in Milton Keynes, but just not popping into ours this year.
That will be weird.
Yeah. You kind of looking forward to it? Are you kind of like not sure, or?
No, I expect it would still be like calm and chill. Like normally we all just watch films for the day, so I'm expecting we'll do something like that still, so it'll be alright.
Yeah.
It's one of the traditions that I failed to mention, and which is a nice segue into this podcast, is that every Christmas we watch, I think it's probably a lot of families, because it's always on ITV around this time of year, is the Harry Potter films.
Oh, wow.
And I grew up as such a huge Harry Potter fan, and now I think I've seen the Harry Potter films so many times that I now no longer like Harry Potter, which is a tragic sentence for me to say. But last year we managed to kind of reach out into the other big like Christmas classic films. So before last year, I'd never seen It's a Wonderful Life or
What?
What's the Tim Burton one? Nightmare Before Christmas. Never seen that.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yep. And what's the one with Eddie Murphy where he becomes like a really rich banker?
Switching Places.
Or is it Trading Places?
Trading
Places.
Trading Places.
Yes, never seen that either. So that's all
Great
three of
films.
those last Christmas.
Yeah, I don't think I watched any of those three.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
What?
I don't think I watched that many Christmas films.
So what?
Now I think about
But
it.
those three are like three very good ones that you just mentioned.
What would your guys' favourite Christmas film be then?
That's an interesting one. I feel like we should have thought about this before.
Yeah,
coming
no, to
on
be honest,
like,
I'm
the Christmas
surprised you hadn't anticipated this
podcast.
question.
Yeah. Favorite. The
for
Grinch
me,
is
probably
quite. Oh, sorry.
Love
Guys.
Actually.
Oh,
Dude,
such a good choice.
I don't really like Love Actually.
Such a good choice.
Yeah.
I don't think I actually
Really?
like
Do you
it.
not?
Yeah. I really want to like it to be on the trend, but like I don't really particularly enjoy any of the three like stories.
Do you know in an early version of the draft, the early version of that script, Rowan Atkinson was supposed to be like an angel, bringing all these people together.
Oh, like It's a Wonderful Life.
Kind of, yeah. Love Actually is such a good show. You know what? I spent the whole day thinking about what my favourite Christmas film is, and I didn't think of Love Actually. And yeah, it's definitely the best one, isn't it?
Oh, The Grinch is up there.
Which version,
I think
though?
Grinch is my favourite. Oh, I've not seen the new one, to be fair.
Isn't there one? There's the Jim Carrey one, and isn't there an earlier one as well?
Yeah.
What, earlier than the Jim Carrey
Yeah,
one?
I think there's an earlier.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was true.
Well, there was a television special in 1966.
Yeah. Animation, 26 minutes.
And then obviously, yeah, I mean the Jim Carrey one is brilliant. Have you guys seen Last Christmas? The one this year with Emilia Clarke and the guy from.
Oh, no,
Crazy
not
Rich.
actually. No. Have you seen it?
Yes, it is the worst film I've ever seen.
How did you not predict that from the adverts?
Is it very like predictable and what you expect it to be?
No, it's considerably worse. In the
Oh wow! Okay.
you kind of expect there to be some kind of logic to how the film progresses. There's lots of just weird. It tries to cram in anti-Brexit thing, and I am anti-Brexit, but it feels so unnaturally shoehorned in. It's really weird.
Oh wow!
And like,
Huh.
so if you guys, this is my slightly more interesting point about this film. Have you guys watched Fleabag?
I've seen
No.
the first season.
So it's Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and particularly in the first series, there's a real sense of she's this woman in her 30s whose life is kind of directionless, and she's also making all these really terrible decisions. And there's a real sense throughout the whole series that she needs redemption, right? Like she needs. She is a bad person. We like her because we get this insight, but if you didn't get that insight, you'd just think she was a total nightmare. And so you're spending the whole time cringing at her actions and also just hoping that she can turn it around. And in Last Christmas, they try and go for a similar thing, like that she's supposed to be this really awful person. But because it's supposed to have like a wide audience and it's supposed to be kind of like a family gentle Christmas film, they can't commit to making her genuinely awful. So her redemption is that like she's just like less rude to people. Like, do you know what I mean? Like she tries a bit harder at work. Like it's not.
Oh no.
So they
Was it a wasted
really
2 hours?
Yeah, complete waste 2 hours. Yeah.
Last film I'm going to mention, it's the new film on Netflix. It's called The Postman, I think.
The Postman, I think, or the
it's-
Postman.
The Postman. I'm fairly sure it's called The Postman. And it's just done really, really well. It's a really good Christmas film. So if you
Are you
guys
sure
get a
it's called
chance
The
to
Postman?
watch that, potentially not.
Uh,
There is a high chance.
In a post-apocalyptic America, a drifter disguised as a postman and delivers mail to the survivors, giving them hope that the government has been restored.
Is
No.
it the animation one?
Yeah.
I know what you talk about, but I can't remember its name, and I haven't watched it.
Oh, it's called Claws. I mean, it's very similar to The Postman, naturally. But it's about a postman.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Claws, and it's so good. Like, it's not just like... Yeah, I think Christmas films is a really difficult one to recommend because, like, if you're not into that stuff, you just won't enjoy it. But this is quite a... I watched it with Alex and his dad, and they both really enjoyed it. So I felt if they veto it, like if they've said it's okay, then I felt you guys would enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I weirdly think of?
It's,
No, go on.
I was just going to say, it's got a lot of like good reception from a wide variety of audiences. So
Yeah,
I suspect
yeah.
it's something that is like actually really good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I weirdly think of as Christmas films now, even though they're definitely not Christmas films?
What?
Star Wars.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Although
Yeah.
I don't think... Was Last Jedi released at Christmas? I'm not sure if it was.
As in, they're all released in December, but not necessarily right on Christmas.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because obviously this one's coming out, the latest one, by the time this gets released, will have come out, and Force Awakens I think of very much as a Christmas film. Like as in I watched it like a few days before Christmas, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I see them more as like end of year films than specifically Christmas.
Talking about spaceships crashing, we can move on to our first film, which is about... That's pretty good, like... Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yep. Which is called Anthony. It was directed by Jonathan Van Tilliken, and after an enormous explosion tears through Lapland on Christmas Eve, Santa has crashed on the busiest night of the year, leaving him with an elf, a reindeer, a dead elf, and some dead reindeer. Will any presents be delivered this year? Here's a clip.
It's your fault.
What?
Pissing about, as always.
Who what?
You were. Otherwise, why did I crash? For the benefit of my own health?
You're whipping the deer too hard.
I was doing what, sorry?
You're juggling the brandy and the reins.
No, hang on a minute. I must hear this.
You're juggling the brandy and the whip and the reins.
No,
And
you can't whip an animal too
It
hard.
was screaming.
No, it's your fault.
Matthias, you brought this film. Why'd you beat it? Or, what did you like about it?
Yeah, so it's quite interesting because of when we first had the Christmas theme, the first film that I thought to bring was the film that you brought along, Bernie. And initially I was going to bring that along, but then I decided I wanted to maybe try find a Christmas film that was like a bit different to what most people would expect and see. So I went on to Short of a Week and went searching for a different film to bring along and stumbled across the film that Jamie brought along. And I was going to bring that one along, but then decided I wanted to bring something like happier, more fun for Christmas time. And so then I stumbled across Anthony, and it was like so different to any other Christmas film I've watched, and so fun, and just like fit my criteria perfectly. And so that's kind of why I brought this one along. What do you guys think of it?
You go, Benny.
So, I think I was quite shocked by this film, not gonna lie. It was putting I was really shocked because my sensations with Christmas are like happy and like, everyone's happy and there's happiness and this film, I mean, there was none of that in this film. And so I was kind of like, I've never seen Christmas in that context before. So I did enjoy it. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was quite funny and definitely original. But it was, it did shock me. Jamie, what do you think about it?
I'm conflicted. And I think this is becoming a bit of my catchphrase, but there's stuff in this that I really like. I think the overall concept is really clever, and I think it really works. My issue with the film is it kind of pitching itself as a comedy, and I don't think it's funny enough to justify its place as a comedy. I think it really heavily leans on the whole that juxtaposition between this awful kind of like survival scenario, and the contrast of that with the whole Christmassy feel. Like, it kind of leans so heavily on that to get the humour that it then doesn't build in enough jokes to the rest of the film.
Okay.
And that once you get over that feeling of shock, because it is funny, the first kind of 2 or 3 minutes really work for me. And then I kind of wanted it from like almost creative point of view to kind of expand a little bit more and develop further, but I didn't really feel it necessarily did that. Yeah.
That's interesting. I think that might be a taste thing, because for me, this was like hilarious. And it wasn't just the scenario that I was getting the humour from. It was more the Santa character and like the different lines he was coming up with, the stuff he was saying, and his interactions with Anthony was what I thought was so funny and hilarious, and that like carried me through the entire film. It wasn't just at the start that I found the funny moments; it was like scattered across.
Yeah, interesting. But I suppose that my response to that would be, if you took away the fact that they are Santa and an elf, would you still have found it funny, do you think?
I think I would have.
Okay.
Because of the sort of jokes that I was finding funny, I don't think related to who they were as characters. I think like if any character was saying some of the stuff they were coming up with, like, I would have found it funny.
Okay. Interesting. Bernie, did you find it funny? Did it make you laugh?
I think I'm kind of like a bit of both with you. As in, those first 3 minutes were very funny. And like the characters that were set up were very funny, and I laughed at those first 3 moments. And I've got to say, the first time I watched it, I did find the film fairly funny. The second time I watched it, again, I found the first 3 minutes really funny, but then I didn't really find myself laughing at the rest of it. I think, Jamie, you're kind of right with the fact that they set it up in those first 3 minutes, but then they don't really develop after that. As in, the character that Santa is established in those first 3 minutes, and the elf, and they don't really grow on it. I suppose,
So
like,
did you not
the
find
whole...
Santa's character funny just in general? It's like, did you see him as a comical character?
I mean, I did definitely, and I do see what you're saying. There are definitely moments where I think he's funny, and there's a couple of lines where he's probably independently funny of the fact that he is Santa. Thinking about it now and reflecting on it, I think the issue for me, and what takes it away from being maybe as funny as it could have been for me anyway, is that I found just the elf character a little bit too tragic. Like, I felt a bit too sorry for him after everything he's going through in the situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
Like, I am dark comedy isn't necessarily my thing, but there are dark comedies I like, and for me this was just a little bit too dark. Like, when he's looking up at his dead elf boyfriend, is awful. Like, that is such a like, oh my god.
Yeah. I think I kind of. I think I kind of agree that I feel like Santa's potentially a bit too, like, unsympathetic. Like, he's too unrealistic a character.
Yeah.
For him to be funny at times.
Yeah.
For me, like, tonally, they just got it so right. So, like, those moments which should be, like, quite tragic, I never, like, was getting sad at those times. Like, there wasn't a second during this film that I, like, thought it was, like, depressing or, like, too much. It was all, like, done in such a humorous tone for me that, like, it just felt like part of the comedy and more funny than, like, tragic.
What about, like, Rudolph, like, screaming as he's being murdered?
Yeah.
Yeah, as in, like, it was still quite done in a comical way, and how, like, unapologetically Santa's doing it all. Like, that just really fit my humour.
Yeah. I think objectively it is a funny film. I don't know, I was just a bit, like, disheartened by it. I don't know, I was a bit, like... And I think there's definitely an audience out there for it.
And I think bizarrely, it's kind of almost effective as like a survival film, as like a survival drama. Like, I kind of almost enjoyed it more from that perspective because, like, it's really like from that point of view, it's kind of really well put together. Like, the stakes are really clearly established. Like, there's two really interesting characters with a really interesting dynamic. Like, there's a real sense of loss. There's a real sense of poignancy about it. Like, I think it really works. Like, it's a fantastic film, but whether it works as a comedy is the bit that I don't necessarily get, and maybe that's the issue. It's almost it works too well, and the dramatic is feeling like a drama. It's a bit like the thing with the Office, the original one with Ricky Gervais, is that there was like an element of the audience not necessarily getting whether it was meant to be a comedy or not, because it felt just a bit too real. It felt a little bit too much just like a documentary, and that's kind of, I guess, maybe my issue with this. Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, because it was very real, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I went to like other points.
Mm-hmm.
One, I loved the scenery of it and the setting of it was just really good. And I know that they were kind of just once you're there, then it's all given to you. But I really enjoyed the scenery. And two, I thought the sound design was pretty amazing.
Like, leading on from your scenery point, Bernie, I think it's particularly the production design and costume design that like makes it so great. It's not just the location, but it's like all the set dressing's so good, and like the Rudolph, like I'd love to see behind the scenes and see like how they made Rudolph, and like when Santa turns Rudolph into a coat, it all comes together so well and like really adds to the humour and like engages you in the piece. I really like that.
I think Rudolph was CGI, his head.
Do you think? Oh, as in like his eyes, all of him?
No, I think his body, I think that was like, an actual like prop that they'd like made and stuff. But I think his head was CGI'd.
I'm just gonna have another look at it.
Because there's one shot that looks slightly not quite right. And I was like, wait a minute, they could have actually CGI'd this. But anyway,
but I think it will be a mix of the two. As in, like you're saying, it's a mix of production design and CGI added to it.
Yeah, because I don't think they actually tied up a real reindeer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as in, they could, because they can build like a fake reindeer and have it like there as dead, and then to have the movement, you use the CGI.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Sorry, Jamie, you were going to say something about sound.
Oh, I didn't necessarily pick up particularly on the sound design. I was just intrigued to see what particular elements you enjoyed.
It was just so quiet and like crisp, and like I felt that like I was there. And when they like walked through snow, it was the right sound for snow. I thought the dialogue was done really well, and I know it had like a fairly high budget, but like I was really impressed, like, because I felt like I felt transported to this snowy place, and yes, you see it visually, but like I've kind of like felt it. I think that was done primarily through the sound. I just thought they'd like paid quite nice attention to it. Yeah,
cool.
For me, with the ending, I've seen another short film which ends in a similar way, and so it kind of make me like feel like I saw it come in almost, but I wasn't that bothered about the ending because at the end of the day for me it was just a comedy, and so it was more about the journey than where it finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels quite Python-esque. Like, how do we get... Because you set up this scenario, and it's like, well, how do we get out of this jokey situation? Well, we'll just kill them off. Like... yeah, because there's no other way to set it up. And you've set up this kind of quite cynical, dark world. It kind of would feel a cop-out if Santa got somehow redeemed by... saving Christmas. It's quite nice that he ends up just dying alone in the snow. What
Is that your favourite moment?
what a dark sentence that was. Yeah.
Anything else to add, or
I love the
should we move
line
on, or- Oh,
where he finds out the elf is gay. It's
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
quite
Callum was like, "You do have a problem with it."
yeah. It's quite an old fashioned joke, that, isn't it? Really.
I think it felt like very British humour. There was a lot of moments which felt
Yeah.
very, like British humour, and like
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think that's one of the things which really worked for the piece.
Yeah, I agree. It is distinctively British. There's kind of there's shades of maybe this is just in my mind because it's Tim Key, but there's shades of Alan Partridge in there, isn't there? And there's shades of
Yeah.
just British style of humour in general, isn't it? Kind of from maybe 10 years ago, there's a kind of almost a peep show element to it as well.
Yeah, and John Cleese as well. That's it.
Yeah, the scene that came to mind that just felt along similar lines was the Christmas scene in Peep Show where he thinks he hasn't bought the turkey and he's screaming at him and he's going, "Oh, I have bought the turkey. It wasn't very Christmassy of you." If you haven't seen that scene, that's just incoherent rambling. Favourite line from it? Actually, my other favourite line was when he's trying to open the football with his deer with his deer hooves, and he's saying, "It might be a flare."
It might be a flare.
Yeah, that was
Football.
funny.
Don't ruin the surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I did find it funny. Yeah. How old were you guys when you stopped believing in Father Christmas?
My parents never really had it as a thing. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think
really?
it was ever aged that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What do most people actually like grow up believing it?
Well, this is my thing. I don't know if I did, really. I definitely don't remember having like a moment of realising it wasn't true. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I definitely I never really had a coherent moment of being like, "Oh yeah, God, no, Santa's not real anymore."
I woke up when Mum and Dad were putting presents in the room one year.
Oh.
And so they were like, "Oh, it's okay." And then they told me to like stay quiet so Debbie could still enjoy it. So
Yeah, you don't. What made
My
it?
youngest
What
sister,
made it worse
so-
was you'd only been back from uni for a week.
oh yeah, it broke my my holidays.
Yeah.
It was really
I remember you
heartbreaking,
coming back to uni in January, being like, "It's just, guys, we've got terrible news."
guys. I've got a new film idea. Why don't we do a film about Santa not existing?
what a kooky idea.
Yeah, so I think it was fairly early on. Well, I say that. I mean 5, I think. I don't think that's that early. So our next film is a slightly less happy film. It was written and directed by Max Barbaco, and it's called Cuddle Buddy, which tells the story of a depressed woman, Regina, who hires a professional cuddler in the hopes of elevating her loneliness on Christmas Eve. Here's a clip.
You still have 57 minutes left in your session.
I changed my mind. I'm done.
I'm so sorry. Did I upset you? I'm pretty new at this, so if I did something to make you uncomfortable, you can tell me. We could try the bed.
My bedroom is private.
Of course, yeah.
Wait, is that what this is?
What is?
Are you, like...
What? No.
Cause I'm not...
No, I know you're not. I don't know you're not. If you were, that's...
I just... excuse me.
My cousin is gay.
Jamie, this is your film. Why did you Why did you enjoy it? Why did you bring it?
I had an instinctive feeling that the two films you guys brought along would would be of a lighter tone, and it felt like this would be a nice complement to that. So I thought tonally this was a nice film to throw into the mix, and I think it is really nice from that point of view. And it's a nice counterbalance to the kind of sickly sentimentality of Christmas, and realising that there are people that have a very difficult time over the holidays, and actually showing the power of a very small human gesture to change that. From a kind of personal point of view, as I've probably talked about in the episodes that we've done previously, I'm a big one for the way a film can bring intimacy to life. It really gets to me. I find that if a film is able to do that well, then it really gels with me and it really connects with me. And I was kind of on the fence about this film for a lot of it, but there's two scenes which really make it work for me, which is basically the two attempts at them being physically intimate. The first one, which is kind of slightly comedic, where they're kind of awkwardly hugging and lying together on the sofa, and then the really genuinely touching, really quite moving, very simple but very beautiful moment at the end of this film, when they lie together in bed. I thought it was just a very simple, very straightforward, but also really intelligently executed short film.
Okay.
What did you guys think?
Yeah.
I also really liked this film. It's why I nearly picked it. And I think what I really liked is how there's no real exposition. You don't explain what's going on in either of the characters' lives or what the situation is. You're just given this snapshot of what's going on in this moment. And you get to experience all those emotions with them in just a real authentic and naturalistic way, which I think just really came across really nicely. And that final scene, you talk about, Jamie, when they're lying on the bed and holding hands, it's just so honest, and you can really see that the filmmaker's giving a piece of himself into this project, and really I feel like it could connect to anyone who watches it. It's one of those sorts of films, which is what I loved.
It's very human, isn't it? It feels it's such a vulnerable moment. And it feels like vulnerability should be easy to bring to life, but actually, I mean, it's really difficult, isn't it, to make something that feels authentically vulnerable. And a lot of that is the performance. It's just it's just really great. Benny, what did you think?
I'm mixed about this film.
Okay.
The biggest thing I love about the film is how original it is, and again focusing on intimacy and simple things, and kind of showing how much they can be a struggle for people, and how often it's what's needed and stuff. And so the originality of the film I really enjoyed. I don't know how much I actually enjoyed it, because I think I was quite frustrated by the lack of information, and so I was kind of thinking, I was like, oh, but Bernie, it does highlight loneliness at Christmas, because Christmas is one of those periods which can be the happiest time of the year, but also the hardest time of the year for many people. And so I was trying to put myself in other people's shoes, how this brings to light how difficult it can be. But at the same time, if you are having a really difficult Christmas, I don't know how much this film would have helped. I don't know if seeing someone else having a hard Christmas makes you feel better, if that makes sense.
It's an interesting.
So why does the film have to achieve that to be good?
Because I can't figure out. Yeah. I
don't think that's necessarily the audience, though, is it?
No.
It feels like the audience is more people that are having a happy, easy Christmas and getting to watch this, and as a reminder of being thankful for that you're not lonely and you're not in her position.
Yeah, but then I just feel like an idiot, a dick. It's okay because I'm not having a Christmas like hers. Does that make sense? I feel like quite a.
That is interesting.
I don't know what I'm a little bit confused by how I'm meant to feel about this film, especially in the context of Christmas. However, I do think it's a really important film to highlight that Christmas is so difficult, and to highlight, there's nothing, more obvious than at Christmas time that you've lost someone, or if there's suddenly someone who's meant to be sitting there isn't there anymore, then, you know, that's... Yeah, Christmas highlights that. And so this film, you know, I want to enjoy it because, like, it empathizes with those who are lonely, but then again, it gives me so little information that I don't really know why I'm empathizing with her. And it doesn't really particularly make me feel any better about Christmas. So yeah, I'm a bit mixed about this one.
For me, like, I didn't need a reason to, like, I didn't want to or need to know, like, what's going on in her life or why I'm supposed to be empathizing with her, because I think what makes it beautiful is how, like, every human being, like, craves intimacy, and we all want to be with other people. We don't want to be lonely, and so it's just beautiful to show that, like, at Christmas time, it's a time where you notice when you're alone, and there's a lot of people who do spend Christmas alone, and it's not necessarily because of a death or something. It might just be they don't have any close family to them to, like, enjoy that time with, and so it's showing that we should, like, still sympathize. It doesn't matter why they're alone. Like, it's a human. Every human, like, needs to be, like, loved, and, like, that's kind of what I think this kind of captured, and, like, message that I was taken away.
And I think in terms,
I understand. Oh, sorry.
Just to unpack some of what you were saying before, like, in terms of what you're supposed to feel, I'm not sure you're meant to feel much outside of empathy for her. You're not supposed to feel angry at yourself, or, you know, anger at the world, or a burning sense of justice to help people like this. It's just it's a reminder of...
By the way...
It's a reminder of what people are experiencing, and it's not... I don't think it's explicitly a Christmas film. I think Christmas just is a particularly effective framing device for this film. I don't think it is probably explicitly a Christmas film, like, or essentially a Christmas film. And I suppose if you were to take a thing away from this film, to shift the focus away from... I'm not sure if we do know the names, but the blonde woman, the central character, to the professional cuddler, there's an element there where she is looking past the immediate behaviour of this person. Like, this person's behaving quite aggressively and quite horribly towards them, and she's looking past that and still doing a really decent and to overuse the term, a very human thing, and reaching out and comforting her in a time she really needs it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what is so effective about it. It's not that this woman's having a horrible time in a happy time of year. It's two people connecting when one of them is at a very low point.
I think with the professional cuddler, they, like, show her vulnerability so well when, like, she feels offended and she's been pushed away, and, like, there's a moment where you can see it would be so much easier for her to just walk away, but she still, like, steps back into the bedroom and sits down next to her, and then when she gets asked to, like, lay with her, she, like, agrees, and, like, you can see it, like, she's putting her, like, own emotions and her ego at risk by doing this, but, like, she breaks through that barrier and, like, does this for another person to find that human connection.
Yeah, and there's it's an interesting point about the vulnerability of the cuddler. There's one just little line which I think is really clever. She has a line which is, you know, I'm not ashamed of what I do, or I'm paraphrasing slightly, but that's basically essentially what she says. And what a great line to have, because the blonde lady hadn't criticised her for that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
For her then to respond like that, it shows her insecurities and it shows her vulnerability, and it gives you such a great insight into her. And suddenly, we're not necessarily learning explicitly about these characters' backgrounds, but I feel like it's little lines like that and little moments that are able to flesh it out in a really organic way.
Yeah.
And again, I've probably talked about this before. I'm always going to be a sucker for a film which is two people in a room talking. Like, if there's a way to make that as a film work, I'm always going to be on board. Like, because I think it requires such a kind of deftness and a real subtlety to it that if you're going to make that work, you really have to do something really intelligent. So, yeah, really liked it.
Yeah. It definitely shows, like, good filmmaking. I think it's purely, like, I just want more information, but I think that's a purely kind of, like, my taste.
What you were talking about, really good filmmaking and how, like, authentic and real it feels. I think the filmmaking is one of the big things which makes it feel authentic and real. So one of the things was, like, the lighting in this was I absolutely loved it. It was really like dark and naturalistic, a lot of silhouette lighting used, and like it all felt like it felt like they didn't add any film lights to it. They just let the room be as light or dark as it would actually be, and like it didn't feel like you're watching a film. It feels like you're in that moment. They also like paired that with the handheld camera motion and a lot of close-ups and stuff, which really like put you in the moment with those two characters. And from the title card to the credits, there was like no music. You were just there experiencing all the sounds within that space, which all of it was just to put you in that moment, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, it feels so naturalistic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, yeah. The director did another film called Touch, which, and a lot of his other films are like very much about like skin to skin contact, if that makes sense.
What a weird way of phrasing that, but I get what you mean.
Yep, yeah. Okay, so the next film is called Lover's Gift. It was written and directed by Phil Beesty, and it tells the story of a man who is excited for Christmas, not for the presents or the food, but to hear his mum's voice again. Here's a clip.
I wish I could keep talking to you every Christmas, but it's time to say goodbye. Just remember how much I love you. Never forget that, okay? I will always be your mum.
I brought this film this week. I really wanted to bring a Christmas advert, like a John Lewis one, or some of the more traditional ones, and so I watched quite a few when I was trying to pick my film. And this one just kind of like stuck in my memory so much more than the other ones. Like some of the John Lewis ones and the H&M and such are incredible, but this one kind of stuck with me quite a bit. And for me, this film just sums up exactly what Christmas is all about. And it was just really warm, super simple, heartbreaking. And it also kind of did highlight the tragedy, the tragic elements of Christmas. And yeah, just kind of like honed in on what's like important at Christmas time, which I absolutely loved. What did you guys think about it? Jamie?
Yeah, I really liked it as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think one of the things, Bernie, that you said is really interesting in how like this advert really sticks in your mind, because I feel the same way. Because the first time I watched this was like a few years ago. I randomly saw it on Facebook, and like the second we mentioned Christmas short films for this week's podcast, like this was the first thing which popped into my mind over all the other like John Lewis and other Christmas adverts there are, and all the other Christmas short films. This was the first thing which popped into my mind, which I think is really interesting. And this also like went viral on social media back when it came out, so I feel like for a lot of people this just really connects.
Yeah. Well, it didn't go viral straight away. It was 4 years after it came out that it went viral.
Oh, really?
Or 4 or 5 years, yeah.
It was released.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, released in 2014.
Yeah.
I didn't go viral till last year, I don't think. Or the year before, can't remember.
That's interesting.
Jamie, what do you think of it?
I mean, yeah.
You can say
obviously, it's brilliant. I mean, yeah. I mean,
it's Bernie's pick, so obviously it's gonna be.
No. Actually, that was the biggest surprise. No, I mean, there's not a lot to say.
Yeah.
Because that is just one of those. This is a weird metaphor to draw, but you know the song Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
You do know it. It's like.
Right.
Yep.
That is such a simple melody, and also such like it feels like such an obvious melody. Like whenever you listen to that, I remember people have written much more eloquently about this, but it feels like something that feels very timeless, and it feels like one of those things that, my God, how was that not the first like series of notes they put together when they had a guitar, right? It's such a. It feels just so organic and genius and simple, and that's how I feel about this film. Like that whole thing of him listening to that recording, it's just one of the best minutes of a film you could ever watch because it's heartbreaking, it's
Yeah.
poignant, it's beautiful. And you say, well, fuck, has no one done that before? Do you know what I mean? It's so fantastic. It's so simple.
Yeah.
It's so I have no insights to offer about it. It's just great. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a fun podcast this week, guys. Let's go home.
Merry Christmas. Yeah, I think you're right. There's not much to say about it. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Well, I think one really interesting thing is, so when Phil made this, he made it to kind of be like a John Lewis Christmas advert, and like in that style, and like I think he's perfectly captured like a John Lewis Christmas advert, and whilst always still making a great short film, and like he's really understood what goes into making a good short film and what makes John Lewis Christmas adverts like so distinctive, which I think is really impressive. And like there's quite a lot of different things he's doing within the film to like achieve that. The first thing, like most noticeable thing, is how it handles exposition. So there's like no dialogue for the first minute or so, and like a lot of adverts aren't really dialogue heavy. And in like a worse made film, he'd probably establish how the character's like really looking forward to Christmas by having the character say at some point, I can't wait till Christmas. But instead, like he uses the montage and like the shots of the calendar and showing him counting down, like visually tells the audience all the information you need to know about this character and like build up that anticipation like so many different John Lewis adverts do so well.
Yeah. Agreed.
100%.
And then there's also like other stuff like the music choice, the lighting, the color grading, all those sort of stuff which really like make it feel like an advert and like a John Lewis one as well. It's like lots of small different filmmaking things which you've got to be really intelligent about to like notice how to achieve something exactly what he wanted to set out to make.
Yeah. He thought of the idea on a run on Sunday, wrote the script and organised the crew and cast on Monday and shot it on the Tuesday.
Wow.
It's like
2 days after his idea.
It's like Craig David.
It was £50 budget as well.
That is very impressive.
Yeah.
You just ignored my very niche reference to Craig David.
I didn't get it. Sorry.
Not even that niche, is it? Matthias, did you get it?
Nah. So 1 in 3 people get it.
I was scientist, so yeah, I it is super, like the camera work is fairly simple, I would say, and at times like slightly repetitive for my liking, but the most important thing about this short is the story, and he does that so well. And like this like guy in his like 30s or 30s with a big beard like cries at the end with his mum listening to him. It's just, I was in tears. Like it's heartbreaking, but done so well, and just highlight like, you know, Christmas, if it's one thing you're excited for, it should be family.
So, question.
Unless you don't like your family, then
then
you can be excited for presents.
Question for you then. You didn't like the previous film because you felt like you didn't have enough information about the characters. So what was different in this?
Well, I knew that his mum died.
Okay. But you don't know anything else about him.
No, but I can relate him to people that I do know in that situation, or imagine what that situation is like. Because most people have a mum that they've grown up with. Well, I don't know if most, but a lot of people have a mum that they've grown up with, and so you can imagine yourself in that situation. With the other one, I couldn't imagine myself in that situation because so much would have had to change in my life to be in that situation. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we haven't. Yeah, as in this one, I could like understand. Not understand. I mean, no one can understand going through that. But like this one, I can at least begin to comprehend what was happening in his life.
That's interesting. That is interesting. I
Yeah.
suppose because without wanting to dive too deep into, I suppose with the previous one, I've probably been not quite as dark states as she is in, but probably roughly similar states. Do you know what I mean? So maybe it was more easy for me to relate to her in that instant.
Yeah.
That makes that okay. Now I understand it. I think I was struggling to get around in my head why it wasn't connecting with you, that previous one, but that does kind of make sense to me.
Yeah. I think the other thing is I am.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I suppose, I'm such like a touchy person, if that makes sense. That like.
Well, we know
I
how
rely
much
so
you love
much.
skin-on-skin contact.
It's all about that skin-on-skin contact. I rely a lot on like touch and to kind of like gain, I don't know, like confirmation and like build friend. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Do we?
So, yeah, like I'm always a hugger. Like I'll always hug people, even if they don't want it. I'm that kind of person. And so like.
You're a sex pest. Is that?
Yes, my true colours are coming out. Skin contact, sex. Yeah. And so I think it's just difficult for me to like understand that situation. I don't think the filmmaker gave me a lot to go on, if that makes sense. I don't think they helped me that much to understand her.
So for you, it was more about her like not wanting the physical contact. That was the more of the barrier of you like not being able to connect with her, rather than just the loneliness.
I think it's a bit of both. Yeah. Like I mean. Yeah, because I mean, like, we've all had like our lonely moments and stuff. But again, like, I didn't react the way that she did. But Jamie, like, you might have done. Like, you have had those kind of similarities. So I think it would have spoken to you a lot more strongly than it did to me. Does that make sense? And so, like, as a film, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I definitely think there's an audience for it. It just wasn't. Yeah, it just wasn't for me.
I'm conscious of having this conversation in circles, but you spoilers, your mum is still alive. So so it's interesting that you could relate to the person losing their mum, but you couldn't relate to the other woman.
Because I couldn't, like, I could imagine, well, I mean, I can imagine having my mum there and then suddenly not having her there for Christmas.
Okay.
That would be so hard. And so, but this other woman, I don't know what she's lost, if she's lost anything, or if it's just like a chronic illness, or, you know, or if it's nothing, if it's just a mental, she's just struggling with mental health at the minute, you know. I don't know why she needs this contact.
Because for me, with the other one, because if it doesn't explain that, it feels like I could put any situation into it and like make it connect with me, depending on what situation I put into it. Rather with this one, with Love is a Gift, it seems like it could be harder because if you forced to only have this one situation that you can put into it, like it's set out for you.
They're three very different films. One was on like a £50 budget, one was like a medium budget, and one was very high budget. And yeah, I think they've all told a Christmas film very easily. So if you have any Christmas ideas, just pick up a camera and go make them. And I just think they show how like good Christmas is as a theme. And like to all you Scrooges out there, Christmas is so good. That is my very insightful message. Matthias, what did you take away from this film?
I think all three films had like very clear visions and like knew what film they were trying to be and like really just followed through with what they were trying to be, and like that's what made them really effective. And like you're saying, we're all three very different films, all centered around the same time of year, but in such different ways because of like that clear vision from the start. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this might be, of the episodes we've done so far, the most consistently I've liked all of the films.
Okay, interesting.
Normally, I'm trying to think of other episodes we did. I can't think of an episode we've done so far that I enjoyed watching all three films as much as I did for this one.
Okay.
I thought they were all really solid picks. It felt, we don't, for the listeners out there, we don't coordinate the films we pick. We all just choose a film and bring it along. And it felt more than any other times we got it right in terms of the balance. Like, it felt like we had really three very distinctive inlets into the same theme.
Yeah.
And there's a lesson which I think is something I come back to a lot when we have a kind of guiding principle or a guiding theme, is that even if you're trying to make a film which is within that kind of context or within that structure, the important thing is that you make a really good film first and then you introduce those thematic elements. And I think that's what all three films have done here. Of course, they are, to varying degrees, about Christmas. But for each of them, there's a story there that works without Christmas. Maybe less so Anthony, but I still think
it still could work.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a really enjoyable one, this one, guys. I feel full of Christmas cheer.
Yeah, I'm so excited for Christmas. Are you guys excited for Christmas?
Yeah, really excited.
So excited.
Lively excited.
All right, fucking Scrooge. All right.
You can follow us on all our usual media platforms. I'm on Instagram at Benny Bange. Matthias, you're
on Instagram as well, Matthias Chan.
Jamie, what is your Twitter handle? I forget it every time.
So when we started in this podcast, I assumed I would at some point set up a Twitter account, and I didn't. And well, I have got one, but I don't tweet. I don't really like Twitter, so I think the best bet of reaching me is to just. I'm usually at Finsbury Park Station around between 8:30 and 9 in the morning.
Oh my god!
If you're there about that time, I'm usually there looking disgruntled.
Well, yeah. Go find Jamie in London, and until then, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Stay frosty.
Frosty. Well, I feel like we should finish like singing a Christmas song. What's the song we all know?
I think my voice can handle
a
it.
Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry
Christmas. We wish you a Merry fucking Christmas and a Happy New Year. Bye.